Hey, my friends, welcome back to Body Led by Design. Today is episode number 189. And today we're going to talk about the final S in the success method. And the S for today is stress. And I'm going to use the words stress and nervous system regulation and dysregulation interchangeably because they are one of the same, right? Stress is just another way that we say that our body is experiencing some sort of nervous system dysregulation. Nervous system dysregulation is just like it's a very hot word on the internet world. People love to talk about my nervous system is dysregulated. And it's true. It's right. It just has, when we say nervous system, now all of a sudden we think it's more important or gives it more merit or more meaning. When the truth is, we've been talking about stress the entire time. I've been talking about stress for years, and people finally are starting to realize that it is significant. It is a reason why we don't do the things that we want to do. It is a reason why our bodies hold on to weight. So I use them interchangeably. But for the sake of the success method, the 6S method, I had to have another S. So we just called it stress. And stress is going to be very much so connected to why our body feels safe or unsafe. It's always going to come to the nervous system perceiving our environment as being that of a safe environment or an unsafe environment. And as you know by now, unless this is the first episode you've ever heard me talk about, go back into the previous episodes where I talk about all the S's. And in the weight loss resistance series, we talk a lot about the body feeling safe in midlife. And that's how your body willingly burns body fat for fuel. But many times we try to work against this S by just working harder, by just cutting more calories, by tracking everything perfectly, trying to white knuckle our way through the week or rely on motivation or discipline and not being able to actually listen to what our body needs in between the actions that will produce results. It's that balance of being able to listen and understand what does my body actually need right now. And also knowing that usually the thing that you need is going to feel more like an uphill battle. It's going to feel like a little bit more effort in the time being of what your body actually needs. That means maybe doing some meal prep on the weekends to give your body the food that it needs during the week when you're busy and you don't have time to cook. Getting up to do your workouts so that you have muscle, so that your body feels safer with the amount of muscle that it has. So it creates more of a healthier and robust metabolism versus doing cardio where you're kind of taking away from that energy bucket. Doing those things in the moment feel like more work, but they're actually what our body truly needs. It's what our nervous system needs to feel safe. And so that's the balance of understanding what are the actions that I actually need to do. And then also being able to know what does my body need right now in this moment. Because the truth is we can't outsmart our nervous system. Our nervous system is always running and humming in the background, looking at our environment and deciding, am I safe or am I unsafe? And when our nervous system feels unsafe, willpower becomes essentially impossible. Discipline becomes even increasingly difficult. Safety gets decided in your body before your brain ever gets a say. And the brain is where we rely on motivation and discipline. So if your nervous system is perceiving danger all the time, you can do everything right on paper, but your body will actually still hold on to weight. And it does that by lowering your energy availability and also by making the things that you need to do day in and day out to maintain a healthy body feel very hard. And that's why this shows up very often in the evenings when our nervous system capacity has lowered because we've gotten up early for the day. We've done a whole lot of work. We've taken care of kids, managed schedules, tried to get to meetings. Think about all the things that you do in a day. And very rarely in our day and age do we ever take a break. Many of us are eating our lunch at our computer. We don't take breaks in the morning. We don't take breaks in the evening. Many times we're sitting indoors, we're looking at screens, we don't get natural sunlight. All of those things are stressful on the body. And then once we leave our work and we go to pick up our kids, now all of a sudden our capacity is really low. And so that's when we end up grabbing Cheez-Its in the car because we haven't ate enough earlier on in the day. And we're also starving at this point. And what we want is that we're like, well, why can't I have willpower? Why can't I have discipline? And it's because your capacity is so low that the part of our brain that wants to have discipline and wants to have motivation, it doesn't have it right now because your nervous system is there's not enough safety here. There's not enough capacity to be able to rely on discipline and motivation. So yes, your default action becomes comfort in the form of food. And also most likely your body needs energy anyway, but it chooses very comforting foods at that time of day and throughout the rest of the evening because your capacity is very low. It wants to choose very comfortable things in that moment to give what your body will think or perceive to be safety, right? Comfort in the moment of your nervous system feels like safety, even though we know cheese aren't a great way to show our body safety. But in the moment, our nervous system is like, this is going to feel good. And anything that feels good gives your body the perceived sense of safety for a short amount of time, right? While it receives those Cheez-Its, breaks it down and moves it into a blood sugar spike, your body actually feels safer with that. Because before that, it didn't have energy. It didn't have enough nutrition. It didn't have what it needed in the moment. So it's like, yes, Cheez-Its makes sense. Right? Until then, it becomes an hour later and now your blood sugar is spiking and your nervous system is like, this is an emergency. Now I don't have any sugar. What do? I'll grab another thing very quickly while you make dinner. And then we end up eating more crackers and cookies and grabbing bites and licks and tastes of things here and there. And then by the time we sit down to eat our dinner, we're not actually hungry enough for the nutritious foods we hopefully just cooked. And so we eat some of it, but we don't give our body everything that it needs in that meal. And then we end up doing the same thing 2 hours later and grabbing things here and there. And we just kind of munch our way through the evening, fall asleep, wake up. We're not hungry. We roll through the day all over again on not eating enough and then getting to later on in the day when we consume too much. This is all a very classic pattern actually of a nervous system dysregulation. It's of stress that's not well managed during the day. I'm sorry, my voice is kind of going today. I have a summer cold, and so my nose is stuffy, and it sounds like I'm talking underwater right now. I don't know if my voice is high or low. I don't know what this episode is going to sound like today, but we're getting it done. Okay, so this is a very classic pattern of what it looks like to be dysregulated and to then not have the mental and emotional resiliency at the end of your day to be able to give your body what it actually needs, which is a well-balanced, nutritious meal. And we end up giving our body things that are very comforting. This is also why we sit on the couch and we'll scroll on our phone or we watch a bunch of Netflix series when we actually wanted to go for a walk, when we aren't able to follow through on the healthy habits that we know would create the result that we want because our stress is unmanaged, because our nervous system doesn't feel safe, right? And it feels very difficult in the moment to do the harder thing that actually gives us a better result when our stress is always really high. And so it becomes a little bit of an uphill battle at first to work on the mental and the emotional dysregulation that you have to be able to still follow through while your capacity is low, knowing that you're working through emotions, knowing that you're working through mental resistance to give your body the things that it needs when your brain and your nervous system are like, just do the comforting thing right now. Just do something that feels really good. So when stress is high, stress is, in my definition, is always going to be, when it comes to the body, there's too much energy going out. There's not enough energy coming in. That will always feel stressful for the body. So anytime you're actually dieting, when you're actively trying to shift weight and you're maybe in a calorie deficit, just know that that is always going to be stressful for the body. The body's always going to then throw up other sorts of like fits, other like red flags to be like, hey, there's not enough energy coming in. Because remember, we are our ancestors' bodies, and our ancestors never cared about dieting. They didn't have to care about losing weight, right? Because they just ate what was available to them. And if they weren't eating, it was a sign that their environment wasn't safe. There wasn't good crops this year. There wasn't a good hunt. There wasn't enough meat to share within the tribe, or you got excluded from the tribe and now you don't have access to any resources. And so your body, whenever you go into a dieting phase, we have to remember is always going to perceive that that is stressful. So stress is always going to be less energy in and too much energy going out. It's like a bank account. And when there's a discrepancy there, The body and the nervous system are like, okay, what's going on here? Why is my environment different? Why are things more unsafe? Now, sometimes you'll actually notice that you feel better in this energy deficit. And that's because the other things that you're taking care of, your sleep, your day-to-day stress, the quality of nutrients that you're actually eating, even in a calorie deficit, which is so important, that you're building and you're maintaining muscle, that your activity is less stressful. So maybe that looks like reducing cardio and increasing steps. Looking at that kind of balance sometimes will actually increase your body's perception of safety, because sometimes we go from eating a diet of Cheez-Its and a handful of nuts and a string cheese and I don't know, some hummus and some crackers. And then we go into actually eating more nutrient dense food and actually more of a calorie deficit. Your body can still perceive to be more safe because it has vitamins and minerals and micronutrients that it needs to be able to convert energy. Versus when we're dumping a bunch of random foods in our body just to satiate hunger for the time being, it never actually reaches the nutrient, mineral, micronutrient needs of the body. That's still stressful for the body. That's still unsafe for the body. So there are versions of this that you can be quote unquote dieting or actively losing and shifting body fat, and your body still perceives safety, right? That's ultimately where I bring my clients, is that we can do both of those. We can put you in a calorie deficit and we can create a body that feels safer in a calorie deficit than what it did before, when you had excess calories and your body should perceive a safe environment because it has everything it needs, but a low amount of other energy availability, and your body feels very unsafe. But when we are in that state of where the body feels unsafe, it doesn't have access to the things that it needs to create energy. What it does is that it lowers your hormone availability. So it could lower cortisol. Sometimes it raises cortisol. It kind of depends on where you are on the timeline of stress. Some women will always run high. Some women will always run low. Some women will just be dysregulated and they'll produce cortisol at different times of day. Either way, what this does is that then it ends up to mess up your sex hormones. So then estrogen will be low, progesterone will be low, and testosterone will be low, which will mean low energy availability for your body entirely. And that's when women really begin to feel tired all the time. Energy is always feeling difficult. You can try to work out and you can try to build muscle, but it never really seems to happen. You just stay in the same bucket of, anything that you put on, you end up burning and you just end up with the same muscle mass over and over again. And that's because if your body is very stressed out, it's also going to lower your hormone production, because it also doesn't want you to be creating humans when your stress is really high. So when it comes to managing your stress, nervous system regulation, those types of techniques, which I love. Many of these are going to look like breath work. They're going to look like somatics. They're going to look like meditation or journaling. These are all techniques that we can use to kind of quote unquote be able to like touch our nervous system, is what I tell my clients. So that means that we could go into a breath work class, and by the end of it, we can actually actively in real time shift our nervous system just by breathing differently. And what I want to say about those is that they don't necessarily create long-term regulation in your body. I use these tools to be able to show you what it feels like to have a regulated nervous system in real time. Not to do 4 breathwork classes and then walk around like you're all of a sudden a regulated human. That's not actually how I use it. Now, maybe some practitioners do. I don't think that's a useful way to regulate your nervous system. The most effective way that I have found, both in my own personal practice and in teaching my clients about their nervous system, is simply awareness. Because when we can understand and become aware of the dysregulation to the regulation feeling in our body, we gain the ability to be able to shift there quicker just by honestly managing our mind. Now, this is going to leave deep-rooted trauma and things like this out of that, which I don't think that the podcast is the place to address, deeply rooted traumas, things like that. Also, I'm a coach. I'm not a therapist. And so I don't coach people who have deep-seated traumas that actually need therapy. But when it comes to day-to-day dysregulation inside of your body, awareness is really the one thing that will shift you and be able to help you understand yourself better. You're going to be able to see yourself doing things that aren't helpful or aren't useful for your day-to-day stress. You're going to know what helps your body feel safer. You're going to be able to feel the safeness in your body versus feeling unsafe. You're going to know that you're stressed far sooner than what you did before. Right. So it's being able to catch yourself in real time and knowing, oh, hey, what's going on here? What do I actually need while I'm grabbing dark chocolate? Maybe I need to go outside and go for a walk. Maybe I need to take the screens away. Maybe I need to shut off Instagram or TikTok or something like that, right? Being able to give yourself what you actually need versus what the things that you do in repetition that give yourself temporary comfort, knowing, hey, this is actually happening right here. I need to do something different. Awareness really is such a simple and easy thing to start to establish when it comes to your nervous system regulation and dysregulation. And that honestly is one of the things about helping people with their nervous system is that it's so intangible. It is so hard to be like, this is what it is. This is what it feels like. This is what you do. It's more of something that you just reach light years in progress when you can talk to somebody about your stress and you can have somebody witness you within your stressors and tell you exactly what you're thinking and why you're creating the results. It is this beautiful mix of both nervous system and the emotional body. So inside the subconscious of your body that happens automatically and things that you feel like you don't have control over, and also using your mind, which is your conscious part of you that is so smart and so intelligent. And we just override it with our nervous system or we let our nervous system override our intelligence. And it's being able to have the balance beautifully of both our mind and our body and our body and our mind. So many times up until the point of this last year, I kept running into challenges and being like a mindset coach saying, you just got to think better thoughts. And I'm like, well, that's sounds great, but we know that that doesn't actually help everyone. And then I went all into nervous system and they're like, you just have to work with the body. And I'm like, but we're also leaving out a beautiful part of our body, which is our mind. How do we create harmony between both of those? And that's where coaching can come in and it can help you bridge both your mindset to your body and your body to your mind. And now you have access to both beautiful parts of so much wisdom that already lives inside of you. But the one thing that I will always come back to when it comes to nervous system dysregulation is that there is always one thing that will help your body feel safest most consistently. And that is the S of strategic nutrition. And I will never back down from that because a body that is well fueled, well nourished, well taken care of through food will always be more resilient, will always feel safer, will always sleep better, will always put on muscle. And those are all the other S's that our body needs to feel safe, right? So we can't continue to underfuel and undernourish a body and expect it to feel safe and expect a meditation to work and expect breath work to work long term. Those things are very band-aid approaches. What we need to do is we need to fuel our body really well and consistently. But I know that telling you to do that on this podcast, you already know that, right? And so now it really becomes bridging from the, I know this thing, but I don't know how. I don't know what to actually do in my day in and day out and how to actually make this apply to my day-to-day life. I don't know how to make it a part of me, right? Because right now, everything that I'm telling you to do is in your brain, but it's not who you are. And that's what we do inside of my program, Well Nourished. That's what we do inside of coaching, is to make it like not a thing that you think about and that's a separate part of you, but it becomes you. It becomes who you are. And you're not having to rely on motivation, rely on discipline, rely on like nice thoughts all day long because it's just who you are, right? I wake up and I do these things because it's who I am. It doesn't mean it never requires effort. It doesn't mean that sometimes my stress doesn't get a hold of me and make things feel a little bit harder than what they need to be. But they naturally are who I are and who I am. And that's also what I want for you. to not just think about these things and think about how hard it is and wish it was easier, but rather become the person who it is. Stress is not the S that takes control over you. Stress is the S that you actually have most control over, because it becomes manageable when you give your body what it needs, when you create a strong body, when you're able to sleep at night, when you choose what to participate in when it comes to your energy, like your time management, the people-pleasing behaviors, the perfection tendencies that you have, deciding what problems get your energy and which ones don't. Those are all the things that also contribute to the S of stress that we tend to think we don't have control over, and you have so much control over. That's the whole thing. Because when we become more of ourselves, stress actually becomes so much lower, because so much of the stress we carry comes from living out of unalignment of who we actually are, and saying yes when we mean no, and shrieking ourselves to make other people happy, but we become less happy, and the performance of health versus being healthy. This is how we connect this S to every other S we've covered: safety, strategy, strategic nutrition, strength, and sleep. They all feed your nervous system's perception of safety. And when your body feels safe, it stops holding on to body fat. It really is that simple. That's the entire success method and the entire picture. So what do we do from here, my friends? This all is exactly what we do inside of Well Nourished. This is my 6-month body recomposition program where we take everything in this series, all successes, and we build them into your actual life with support, with coaching, personalized protocols, awareness work, so that your body finally feels safe enough to let go. And we stop performing wellness and we actually become well. Enrollment is going to open in September. The waitlist is open right now. And all you have to do is go to the show notes or go to my website, melissaikwellness.com/coaching, and get yourself on the waitlist. From there, you're actually going to be able to schedule a consultation right away, so you know exactly what the timeline looks like, when you're able to enroll, what you should be doing now, how to get your finances in order, how to have the conversations with your significant other, because I know when you wait to do these things, you feel a lot of pressure. I want you to come into this program being totally ready, being totally excited, being like, let's fucking go. We're going to do this thing, and we're going to do this thing for the very last time. We're going to stop performing. We're going to stop buying plans. We're going to stop hoping for the best. We're going to actually find your solution. We're going to create results, and actually results that are guaranteed. So head to the show notes or go to my website, melissaikwellness.com/coaching, and get your name on the wait list. I cannot wait to talk to you very soon. All right, my friends, that is the last episode of the Success Method. Make sure to come back next week, where we're going to go a little bit more into what you need to do to shift out of weight loss resistance. All right, my friends, have a good week.